kitchen, welcome. And this is our compost bucket where our, look at that, food scraps go in there. And guess where they go? Right out to our compost bin. If you don't have a compost bin and you are talking about going off grid or starting a homestead or even just being more self-reliant, shame on you, because it starts here in the kitchen. This is where self-reliance starts, people. It starts in the kitchen with food scrapping and your own compost bin. So come along with me. We're going to do a really quick tutorial on how you can get started from going from the pail to the compost pile. Okay, so welcome to the compost pile on Starry Hilder's channel. This is the site where it all happens. All right, so let's talk about the compost, creating one yourself. Now you can see we got a pretty big space here. If you can do it bigger, yeah, it is kind of better. They recommend an area of about 4 by 4. But people, don't worry. The point is that you get composting. We've done composting piles in the recycled tires. We've done them in smaller areas. The point is just do it. Now, what do you need to compost? You need 3 parts, I believe, brown and 1 part green. So think about that when you start adding your stuff. But when you're thinking about browns, your primary browns that you're going to be adding to your compost pile is basically straw and sawdust, as you see already in our pile here. The greens are going to be anything that you pull from the garden, grass clippings, leaves, you dump it in. Okay, so let's talk about turning the compost pile, because I used to think, oh, you got a compost pile, you got to be out there every day turning it. No, you want the bacteria to do what it's supposed to do. And what it does is it heats up. And when it heats up, it actually does wonderful things, like it kills pathogens, it kills weed seeds. It's so cool. And I'm going to show you what we do. Oh, and this is the other thing. Get you guys a thermometer. If you're new to composting, a thermometer is a great thing to have, because you are going to be out there checking that temperature to see if that bacteria is working and see if your compost pile is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Between, I think the experts say 130, 120. You don't want to get it too hot and you don't want it too cool. Now the thing is, you'll stick that temperature gauge right down the middle and say it's only 90 degrees. Okay, you got to do something about that. So what you do is you add a little green and a little water, and that'll kick it off. Actually, what it does is just starts heating it up, and it's so exciting because just those 2 components, by adding them, the bacteria will kind of come alive and it'll start heating up again, and then you'll come back and check your temperature and see where you are at. Now here can be a newbie mistake, and I know because I've done this. You go out and you check your compost pile and it is a little bit on the slimy side and it's beginning to stink. Well, too much green and too much moisture does that. So you have to balance it out. It's all about balance. And what do you balance green stuff out with? Brown stuff. Brown stuff going back to the sawdust and going back to the straw. What you do is you mix it in there and you let the bacteria do its job and recheck it. It's as simple as that. This bacteria will balance itself out, but you have to kind of watch a little bit. Too much brown, too much green, the compost pile is going to tell you. Now when you come out to your compost pile with your food scraps from the house, remember that little bucket, what you're going to do is take your little pitchfork or whatever, if it's small, just do it by hand, and you are going to create a little hole in the middle. So you dig that hole, and that's where you are going. This is where all the action is, people. This is where the bacteria is, right in the middle of that compost pile. So you put your food scraps right in it, and then you cover it back up. Now I'm going to give you a couple more real quick tips. In the fall and the winter, we actually add quite a bit of cover on the top here, because all the action is going on in the middle. In the summertime, not so much, but kind of remember this, you can have a lot of insulation on the top here, and all the hard work, the manual work is going on in the inside. So you've got kind of the top and the sides as an insulating factor. Okay, and you may have another pressing question about composting. How long is this pile going to take to break down? It's going to take years? It's not going to take years, but it is going to be dependent on what you use for your compost. Now for us, we use a lot of sawdust, we use a lot of straw. That takes a little bit longer to break down, but by spring we expect good quality compost. That's the beauty of it. If you use a lot of stemmy stuff, it might take a little bit longer. So it's all going to be dependent on what type of compost, greens and browns, that you add in there. The cool thing is, all you people who are living in urban suburbia, you aren't going to have probably a compost pile this big. It's going to be a little bit smaller. You're going to be primarily putting in your food scraps, maybe your grass clippings and some leaves. That baby is going to break down probably within 3 to 4 months. So as you see, when you live in like a city setting and you don't have what we have, you can have compost maybe even a little bit faster than we will have. And that's an awesome thing. So the other question you may have is, when do I start this compost pile? People, I'm doing the video now in the summertime, so you can start it now, because now is the best time of season to start this baby. And in fact, if you start it in the summertime and you have some neighbors or you have some connections where you can add, this is a secret ingredient, you can add like chicken manure, goat manure, cow manure, any type of manure. If you want that baby smoking, that's the term my husband uses. He says, if you want this baby smoking and you want it hot, you add a little manure and a little water and your sawdust, and this thing will be up and running just like that. The other thing is, summer. If you can't and you do it in the winter, it's going to be a little bit slow going. So remember that. If you can get it going now, get it going now. Wintertime is a little bit harder. But the amazing thing is, in the wintertime, we will come out here, and because we have a lot of cover on here, we will push this back, and it is still, it's cooking inside. I mean, it just stays so warm. This is like an insulating blanket. It's like a little Eskimo with a little fire in the middle. So even in the wintertime, that bacteria, this is so cool, even in the wintertime, that bacteria is working, okay? So, compost today. You have no excuse to get started. I don't care where you're at, get started today. You're going to save on soil. You're going to save on a garbage. You're just going to save, period. You want to become self-reliant, keep coming to Starry Hilda's channel, because this is Composting 101. Do it now. All right, thanks for coming. Oh, and the other thing is, I know there's a lot of great YouTube videos out there, and there's a lot of other resources to explore. Please explore. Please research. And I know a lot of people come back with their own feedback. I love feedback. If we can share, that's what it's all about. If you guys have tips and tricks at home, come on to Starry Hilda's channel and let us know, okay? All right, that's it for now. God bless. Until our next video.